The market mayhem of late does a lot more than drive investors to gulp Gravol by the glassful. Whether you know it or not, economic uncertainty is probably affecting you on the job.
Yeah, aside from constant worry about your investments, there's a good chance that, yes, once again, you're going to be beginning to wonder about the S word, job security. An economic downturn could affect your company and your job. Compound that with the fact that your coworkers and your bosses are likely under the same kind of pressure, and the result can be increased stress on the job. Now, you might be staying in a job you hate or working under a boss that you can't stand for fear of the future.
Joining us now in our Niagara bureau is Lisa Barrow, a healthy workplace consultant. Lisa, I would think that putting up with that kind of stress that Liz just mentioned, it really has to affect your health, both your mental health and your physical health. True?
Yes, it is very true. So many employees are under a lot of pressure to perform in the workplace. They are very concerned about their jobs and whether or not they will have a job in the future, and therefore they are under a tremendous amount of stress.
And how does that stress affect something like, say, bullying, where the boss knows that the employee is afraid that if they get fired, they won't find another job, so they really take advantage of their power? Does that happen more?
Yes, it does, surprisingly so. There are so many employees who are being bullied in the workplace. They want to leave, however, they are afraid to leave because they may not have the education or experience to get another job, so they put up with the bullying from their bosses. The bosses know that their employees are not going to be able to find a job, especially if they're working in a position where, you know, they're making $30 an hour in a union environment. The bosses know that these employees will not be able to find that type of employment if they leave, and so the employees are in a catch-22.
Okay, so we've discussed it from the employee standpoint. What about from the bosses, the managers, middle managers, whatever? They're working for a company that, you know, they see the economic uncertainty, and it's possible that any company, RIM, for example, which is having problems, I mean, name some of them, they could be cutting the workforce very soon. So what are the bosses supposed to do? Can they address the employees by saying, look, try not to worry, we're doing the best we can, things are they're okay here, or, you know, is it up to the bosses to be able to say, look, this economic uncertainty may affect all of us, govern yourselves accordingly?
What the bosses can do is to, first of all, set the example regarding the behavior and attitudes that they want others to display in the workplace. They need to communicate the vision of the organization on a regular basis and must make sure that all of the employees are working in a manner that supports the vision. Communication, being transparent, is critical. The bosses need to be able to create trusting relationships. They need to be able to create a supportive environment. Laying off employees is a difficult choice to make. The bosses can make it a little bit easier by providing assistance to those employees who may be affected, who may be losing their jobs after 15, 20 years. So it doesn't have to be as negative. Yes, the impact may be negative initially, but it doesn't need to be as ugly as some bosses have made it for some employees. Employees need to walk away from the situation with their dignity intact. They need to understand that they are valuable. It's just that the organization has decided to downsize, and unfortunately they were chosen to be the individuals who were let go or have a job change in their career.
And we know that you know, it can be tough for the person who's let go. It can be equally tough for the people that are left behind. What I want to ask you is, are there symptoms of this kind of stress, of unhappiness in your job? Are there symptoms like chronic symptoms that people might not understand where they're coming from, that you could identify for us, and someone at home might say, gee, that's why I've been feeling tired or lifeless, or, you know, depression? I don't know. What kind of symptoms do you see from people who are really unhappy in their job?
Yes, what I see is anxiety, a tremendous amount of anxiety, a tremendous amount of depression, employees may become withdrawn from the organization. They're not engaged in their jobs. You may find that employees are not showing up to work as they used to. And there's just a total disconnect from the organization. Now, the other thing that happens is if the situation is not addressed properly, some of these employees may begin to experience some anger and may want to strike out at others or may even try to harm themselves in some way. This is why it's so important for the organization, the leaders, managers, and other employees to come to the table and say, yes, we have to go through this difficult time, but there is a positive, a better way to go through the process without going through negativity and resorting to negative attitudes or behaviors. Because what happens is if an employee feels that he or his or her job is in jeopardy, they may start to sabotage the work of their colleagues to make themselves look better.
Right.
And so it just starts this whole snowball effect that is not very positive for anyone involved.
Yeah, a lot of things to watch out for in the workplace. Lisa Barrow is a healthy workplace consultant. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your participation. Thanks.
Thank you.